Over 16,000 miles long and covering the length and breadth of Britain, the National Cycle Network connects over 4.4 million people a year. But did you know that here in York, the path which connects Selby to the city was once a railway and coalfield?
The Oral History Project is part of the wider project, which was prompted by the fact that York Greenways started off as an ecology project, so increasing the biodiversity along the path. But we found that as we were working on the path, you'd meet two kinds of people. One would be people who had worked on it when it was a railway, or had been affected, had worked on the mine, which caused the closure of the railway. And we chat to them and they tell us their story, which we found fascinating. But the majority of people hadn't the faintest idea of the history of it, and we felt that as all these people were getting on a bit, we needed to capture their stories now. So it's taken about 4 or 5 years to get the project running.
Using archive material from both the National Railway Museum and National Museum for Coal Mining, the project combines history with current interviews with local people to make new material about the railway and coal mine.
And they decided to exploit the coal which lay under here, which became economically feasible in the 1970s. They were concerned that subsidence would occur and that would force the trains to at least go slow or even not being able to run at all. This path therefore became redundant and was bought by £1.
From conducting the research, the project can show how society has changed over the last 100 years.
It's come to be seen as a kind of microcosm of the Industrial Revolution, because up until the railway came, this was an entirely agricultural area. And then the railways came, and you get a proportion of the people living locally would be railway crossing keepers, or would be engine drivers, or whatever, and they'd work on the railways. Then in the 1980s, the mine went ahead, and it became the biggest, most productive mine in Europe. It was closed down within 15 years, I think it had a life.
And the project hopes to inspire the next generation about the history of their local area.
One of the things we've done is to have a schools programme so that we can capture the stories and pass them on to the children who have uncles and granddads and never think to ask them what they used to do. It's a way into history, about the Industrial Revolution, post-industrial changes and so on. So it's a great educational tool, not just for the children but for all the generations.
From a railway to Greenway, this oral history project is breathing new life into a local history for generations to come. York Atkinson, that's TV.